Hi, my name's Lindsay. This is my visual project for week 6, the progressive era. Perfect. Okay, this is my first image that I drew based off of the textbook discussion that we did. And in this picture, I just tried to uh, symbolize, I guess, or draw out kind of the monetization or capitalistic nature that people viewed nature as. And it kind of I tried to emphasize the priority over production and profits over actual any sort of conservation efforts or any, I guess, regard for the natural environment. People basically, I put dollar signs in their eyes because when uh, certain people view nature with capitalistic ideals, they just see money and profit because that is their priority, and that's their motivation. So whenever they see these trees, they just see dollar signs, they just see money, and in the ways that they monetize nature. And I think the part that I got out of the textbook discussion was um not really that their goal wasn't even necessarily the progressives goals wasn't even to really stop this, stop the cutting down of trees and stuff and exploitation of nature. It was just kind of to regulate it. um and then I think later on in some of my pictures I kind of touch on how it ends up interfering with natural cycles and decomposition and stuff, just from a lack of understanding of certain cycles that occur in nature, and food chain and things like that, to properly regulate and preserve. um yeah, I'll just um okay, this is my next picture that I drew. This is from the course reader about the whale article, and it kind of shows the dude at the top with the halo on is, I guess, westernized culture, and kind of how we were up on a hill because we condemn other cultures or other groups of people who are merely doing what they need to survive in the same way that we do. But we condemn them for what they're doing, I guess, because of just this egocentric view or lack of understanding of other cultures and why they do what they do when we do the same thing. And so for example, I drew the dashed line down the middle is where we demonize them. We're up higher on the mountain, just this kind of holier than thou, very I don't know, lack of understanding or failure to see one's perspective or whatever, and we're putting ourselves um above them. So physically I put the the dude up on a mountain. And I think it's really interesting too. I chose a cow, for example. We cows make up a huge part of the American diet, or I guess other animals such as bison during this time. And we're really quick to slaughter and eat them to sustain ourselves, without there are other cultures that look at us and they can't condone that or whatever. They condemn us for doing that. And it's just this whole kind of cycle of just lack of understanding of other cultures, demonizing people for not understanding their perspective. And it's just kind of, yeah, it's a big theme. I feel that comes up a lot, especially when it comes to nature and people's certain philosophies and stuff. A lot of hypocrisy. um guess I'll do this one next. This is an image that I drew. I guess like we didn't have, this is for the case study, and since there wasn't a case study in week 6, it just kind of happened that the fires that are going on right now are kind of, unfortunately, like a perfect example of a case study about how the progressives influenced our society today. Like we still have negative externalities due to some of like the things that they tried to implement. And I wrote down some really like interesting things that I think that I got away from the video lecture. And it's like, yes, we are like experiencing negative externalities, and like it's really easy. Like there was a really good point made about how it's really easy to kind of have this like hindsight view and like point out everything like wrong that they did. And it's a lot easier to do that now, especially like with all the information and like understanding that we have about like natural processes and things like that. But it's like they, first of all, like they did have the progressives did have the right intent, you know. At least like they were recognizing that there were major issues going on, like there were major environmental issues, and they tried to address them, like the hydraulic fracking and deforestation and things like that. But some of the things that they implemented obviously I guess backfired, and it's really easy to be like, oh, like they messed up here and this is a mistake here, but they had the right intentions, and we still like fully don't have a perfect, like anywhere near perfect solution on like how we can like live in harmony with nature. And I drew a clock here. Obviously those are not obviously those are fire like flames that I have like burning down the forest in California and burning down people's houses and stuff. And I put the clock up in the corner because like we can't go back in time. Like we can't go back and be like, oh, this is like where they made mistakes. Like there's nothing that we can do. Like they had the right intent at the time with the information and knowledge that they had, and basically all we can do is like try to come up with like better solutions and ways to fix the same problems that they had during this time, just like maybe with like a deeper understanding. And like the most important thing I think from studying the progressives is like it's not about pointing out mistakes, it's about like learning from them and like seeing like where they went wrong or where we went wrong and how we can improve from that. And then this is the last one. I did this drawing based off of the opinion and like discussion that we had about controlling nature and like rationalization during this progressive era. And so the person on top kind of symbolizes like upper class white Americans whose only like objective was profit, monetization, and like that's like what they saw, like that's what they wanted to see. And then I have the dash line kind of like they're kind of blind, or I guess lacking awareness of all of like the other negative like externalities, like the fires, deforestation, extinction of animals at their hands. And then the person underneath is kind of symbolic of like the difference of like philosophies between the two. So that could be like how Native Americans kind of hold this view of like respect for nature, or just like how basically just like respect and understanding like of nature, and just like different philosophies about like what's important and what like motivates these people's actions. So I think that this, in the discussion, I got a lot out of, I wrote down like some specific notes about like what people talked about, just in terms of like interconnectedness versus controlling nature, and like how controlling nature is basically means to an end, like efficiency and stuff like that, and how like we're able, or how they're able to like rationalize that. But that cannot coexist. Like this picture, like the dashed line, like those two things, like both people cannot be fully satisfied like at the same time. Like they cannot properly coexist. People like see what they want to see. Like when they don't, like the capitalist, they don't, they are not fully aware of like how this is truly like impacting other people and the environment and stuff. Like their main objective, and like the only thing like that they're motivated by is just profits. And manipulation of nature. Oh, so kind of touching on like the previous slide, just about like the forest fires and stuff. Carrie mentioned in the course discussion about fires, and how people intervened too much, and it actually like made the issue worse. And I thought that that was like just like a really interesting point about, I don't know, just like different intentions and philosophies, and just like, I don't know, it's just everything's kind of just in juxtaposition with each other. And then I wrote down like another point made by Melody that I didn't even like take into consideration, just like the different like of these like ideals and philosophies of people, like the very like definition of nature or like wilderness, kind of like it changed and it varied like during this time period. Because at first I think like that white people's view of nature or wilderness symbolized like uncivilization, just like a lack of I don't know, it just uncivilized. And whereas it kind of turned into this meaning of like, oh, raw beauty, like we're going to preserve this, like natural parks, etc., etc. And it's like, now we kind of view nature as being like this raw beauty, or like something that we want to preserve. And it's just like philosophies change, but unfortunately like a lot of the damage that has been done to the environment like is kind of, it takes a long time, or it's like truly irreversible. um yeah, I think that was my last one. I think I went really over on time, but I hope you enjoyed my pictures.